And welcome to the Hot Lap. Big changes at McLaren, shocking changes for some, as one of their key acquisitions from Ferrari exits after just 3 months. And we're asking, what has gone on? I mean, we're going to get to it. This is from planetf1.com, and McLaren has announced changes, it says here, with their senior staff, which have come as a huge surprise for everyone, in the terms of David Sanchez. And this is the guy who only arrived in January, was a key guy going into the future from McLaren. You know, I mean, this is the guy that McLaren are thinking could help them win world championships. Well, not anymore. So as we know, they restructured their technical team early in 2023 under the watchful eye of Andrea Stella. That was pretty much after James Key was let go, given a absolutely abhorrent car, and he was, I guess, the guy to blame, or at least in public. So an eye was cast towards 2024, and these key arrivals of Rob Marshall and ex-Ferrari chief engineer David Sanchez. And the duo, they only began work at the start of the year 2024, following that massive, as they have in Formula One, the big gardening leave. Now, in an announcement out of the blue, it's been confirmed that Sanchez has exited from his technical director of car concept and performance position. How Ron Dennis can you get sounding there? But shedding some light on the news, Sanchez said that the McLaren role which he agreed to was not aligned with the one he found himself in, which is interesting. He said, "I'm grateful for the opportunity to have been a part of the team," he said, "with the role we envisioned and had agreed to was not aligned with the reality of the position I found. I leave with respect for the leadership, admiration for the dedication of my colleagues, and appreciation for the openness and honesty in which we discussed and arrived at this decision." He went on to say, "I wish the team continued success as it continues its journey to the front of the grid where it belongs. I look forward to my next challenge within F1. But what does this mean? I mean, they've got an interesting article as well, saying what McLaren's cold press release reveals after surprising exit, which I thought we'd get into. I mean, you know, reading between the lines, this is Sam Cooper, you can only come to the conclusion that David Sanchez's relationship with McLaren was beyond saving, which is a massive exclamation mark. But he described it as we know, the role that they envisioned, but they hadn't, you know, he hadn't agreed to this role. Was he sold a lie? I don't think so. But team principal Stella said it was a further step in the evolution of the structure of the technical department. Now, McLaren has called it a relentless quest to establish the highest technical standards. It is almost like Ron Dennis is still there, isn't it? So they're saying whatever you want to cut it, it's hard to see how anything other than a falling out has caused this, let's be fair, really early shock departure. I mean, how many times have you started a job and, okay, gone in the first 3 months? It doesn't really happen, does it? So as we know, in March 2023, McLaren opted that bold decision to get rid of James Key, and they split basically their performance into 3 parts. A former Alpine, Formula Alpine have since interestingly adopted. So as we know, Key departed. He was blamed for that underwhelming MCL60 that launched, and a number of high-profile signings were confirmed. We have Rob Marshall, who from Red Bull, who known to play a crucial role behind the scenes at Red Bull. He was one through the door. But the other name, as we know, was David Sanchez. This is the guy we've just been speaking about. So the hiring of the French engineer, they're saying, was quite the coup for McLaren. At the time, they were one of the worst teams on the grid, while Ferrari looked to be onwards and upwards under that new leadership of Fred Vasseur. But a few months later, Andrea Seidel had left to join Seidel, meaning Stella was promoted to a role that he had no experience of. And to be fair, Stella has been doing a, pardon the pun, a stellar job. They also had this unknown quantity of Oscar Piastri, who has once again done a stellar job. Let's be fair. You know, the most impressive rookie, I think, since Lewis Hamilton. Now, to make the move was quite a leap of faith, though, for Sanchez, you know, to make that move to McLaren, regardless of how much Stella and Zach sold him a dream. And it was also a sacrifice for the 44-year-old. A career in F1 is never certain, and to make the move from Ferrari to McLaren, and let's be fair, like it said, Ferrari were very much the team on the rise. McLaren, after 2021, was the team on the, I don't want to say going down, but let's be fair, that 23 car was absolutely abhorrent when it first launched. Not good. And the 22 car was very average as well. But that 23 car, oh my gosh, did it turn heads in the end. So which makes Sanchez's departure, though, all the time all the more surprising. Now, early departures, as we know, they're not unheard of, but unusual. But after 3 months, it's an incredibly short time, says the article, suggesting there are unreasonable problems behind the strong MTC facade. So, as we know, Sanchez was one of the senior figures of a team that has only intentions, as McLaren do, of moving up and arguably assembled one of the best technical outfits on the grid. It was looking really positive. The nature of the design and building an F1 car also means it's unlikely we've seen any of Sanchez's contributions so far this season because of the lead time. And further, they design a part, they test the part, they make the part, it can be months. So what will he think if a part or upgrade he designed goes on to be a game changer? And it said this is possibly no doubt that Sanchez will have considered, and even still, he chose to walk away. It is not even like he has been poached, as the press release made it clear he does not already have another opportunity lined up. I'm sure he will. For McLaren, though, it's a rare misstep from a team that seemed to be doing everything it said in the last 10 everything right in the last 10 months. The aggressive move to a three-pronged approach will not have accounted for such a departure, they're saying. If they're hoping to entice rivals member staff away, that will be another another big gardening leave. And so in the meantime, Stella must now juggle the roles of team principal, head of technical performance, while he's no doubt equipped for the skill side, for the side role. He may find himself spinning too many plates. I think McLaren is still going to be quite strong. They've got a lot of key people there, and if you remember, Sanchez started this year, but they made big moves for 2023, and that was without Sanchez. Having said that, it's quite interesting. I don't think we know the full story yet of what exactly has gone on behind the scenes at McLaren. It's a bit of a shame. He was promised a role that, and he felt that role he was promised he was not working in, essentially. So I've not got a headline for it, but last but not least, it was reported that Toto Wolff was not going to be at Japan. Yeah, he's also done a 180. So Mercedes team principal had initially planned, this is from Sky F1, to miss the Japanese Grand Prix. Mercedes, though, have made a hugely disappointing start to the season. Depressingly so if you're a Mercedes or Hamilton fan. And so, as a result, it was widely reported after last month's Australian Grand Prix that Wolff was going to be absent. However, Mercedes have confirmed that the Austrian will now be present at the 4th round, and he's going to be there every session. Wolff's change of schedule comes after a hugely disappointing start to the Mercedes team. As we know, a double DNF in Australia last time out, and they're now 72 points behind Red Bull, with Ferrari, to be fair, the team that Mercedes beat last year in the Constructors, only 4 points back from Red Bull. So the sports calendar, having reached, as you know, an astronomical 24 rounds. I personally think that's a few rounds too much. 20 for me is keep. I digress. The teams have begun to rotate personnel at events to protect their well-being, and that's a massive ask, isn't it? So along with the team principal, Wolff was also a chief executive of the F1 team, with being a director of Mercedes Motorsport, leaving him with additional responsibilities away from the track. And that's the majority of counterparts other team principals probably wouldn't have. Now, after seeing both Lewis and George retire from the race, Wolff said it was fair to question his position as team principal. The Australian Grand Prix marked one of the lowest points in Wolff's tenure as Mercedes. It wasn't like they went out from a race-winning position or a race-fighting position. Engine failure and that late crash for Russell, an argument can be made neither driver is guilty of. So as a corner of this business, he said, I need to be sure that my contribution is positive and creative. Wolff went on to say, I'll be the first one to say, if someone has a better idea, tell me, because I'm interested to turn this team around as quickly as possible, and I'll happily give my input and see what would be or what that could be. And so, as we know, Wolff oversaw historic success with Mercedes, but 2022 hit and they've never been the same. They've only won one race. And Wolff said, I look myself in the mirror every single day about everything I do. And if I believe that I should ask the manager question or the trainer question, I think it's a fair question, but it's not what I feel at the moment that I should do. Okay, fair enough then. It's going to be interesting. So stay tuned very much for as we go into the Japanese Grand Prix. It's going to be interesting. Like and subscribe if you made it to the end. That's absolutely fantastic. If you made it to the end and subscribe, you're definitely an F1 multiple champion in our eyes. Thank you very much. Stay tuned for the Japanese Grand Prix coverage that we'll be giving you leading into practice, in qualifying, and after the race. Check out I think it was one of our longest episodes, wasn't it? A nearly half an hour preview where we look at the track, we look at every driver and see how, see what the story is for every driver going into the Grand Prix. I think it's one of my favourite episodes to do. I prefer almost the preview episodes rather than the review episodes, unless it's been an amazing race, simply because there's hope, isn't there? There could be an amazing race. It's Japan. It could be wet. Rain is potentially scheduled, albeit I think it's gone down a bit. It was 60% on race day. I think it's almost halved, but it's never zero. We'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.